Thom Hartmann here with you. As I've mentioned many times, one of the fastest ways to get information to me is to simply tweet it at me. I actually read my own Twitter feed and usually write my own tweets. I mean, obviously, you know, if we're putting up videos from the show, that's something that's typically done by Nate, you know, who is our video director here. But you know, the opinion pieces and whatnot, that's me. And John and Joe in Indy just tweeted me an article from the New York Times, and thank you for that. It's called Donald Trump's Racism, the Definitive List. This was published January 15th, 2008 by David Leonhardt and Ian Prasad Philbrick. And it starts out, Trump's real estate company tried to avoid renting apartments to African Americans in the 70s. Donald Trump, second one, Trump says, black guys counting my money, I hate it. I think that the guy is lazy. It's probably not his fault because laziness is a trait in blacks. This quote from Trump called for the death penalty for 5 black and Latino teenagers. He said, quote, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an advantage, really. He called Mexican immigrants rapists and criminals. He used the gang MS-13 to disparage all immigrants. He called for a complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. He said Trump University was a bad decision because the judge was Mexican. He said that on June 2017, he said all immigrants from Haiti have AIDS. He said that the 40,000 Nigerians who are in the United States, or Nigerian immigrants, should go back to their huts in Africa. He called on January 11th in the White House, he called for less immigration from Haiti and Africa and more immigration from Norway. He spent years promoting the lie that our first black president, Barack Obama, was born in Kenya, not the United States. He said that Obama, who was the editor-in-chief of the Harvard Law Review, was a straight-A student, he said he was a terrible student, terrible. He frequently claimed that Obama did not work hard as a president. This is his whole lazy trope. He falsely claimed that Obama issued a statement for Kwanzaa, but not for Christmas. He characterizes the African-American experience in the United States as living in hell, and Hispanics as well. He frequently offers false crime statistics to exaggerate urban crime, including lies about Oakland, Philadelphia, and Ferguson, Missouri. He is quick to highlight crimes committed by dark-skinned people. He frequently criticizes prominent African Americans for being unpatriotic, ungrateful, and disrespectful, like taking the knee. He called Puerto Ricans who criticized his administration's response to Hurricane Maria politically motivated ingrates. He retweets white nationalists and has on several occasions and never apologizes for it. He called some of those who marched alongside white supremacists in Charlottesville very fine people. The Ku Klux Klan, their former leader, David Duke, endorsed his presidency, and he didn't disavow it for quite some time, repeatedly refused to. Steve Bannon under Breitbart, made white nationalism a central theme. In fact, they had a section on Breitbart called Black Crime. He endorsed and campaigned for Roy Moore, who spoke positively about slavery, and called for an African-American Muslim member of Congress not to be seated because of his religion. He pardoned and fulsomely praises Joe Arpaio, who racially profiled Latinos. In the 1990s, he took out advertisements alleging that, quote, the Mohawk Indian record of criminal activity is well documented, when he was trying to knock the Indians out of competition for his casinos. In a radio interview, he said Native Americans in Connecticut were faking their ancestry. He says, I think I might have more Indian blood than the so-called Indians that are trying to open up the reservations. He referred to Elizabeth Warren as Pocahontas. He trafficked in anti-Semitic caricatures, including the tweeting of a 6-pointed star alongside a pile of cash. He's been reluctant to condemn anti-Semitic attacks. When he was in a White House meeting with an intelligence analyst who was briefing him on Pakistan, this intelligence analyst was born in the United States, but his ancestry was Korean, so he looked Asian. Trump asked, why wasn't she working on North Korea policy? She was born in the United States. She's an expert on Pakistan. He once referred to a Hispanic Miss Universe as Miss Housekeeping. In June 2016 at a rally, he pointed to the one black guy in the audience and said, look at my African American over there. Look at him. It's bizarre. Rick in Lexington, Kentucky. Hey, Rick, what's up?
Thanks, Mr. Hartmann, for taking my call, and thanks for being my personal Mr. Rogers. I told you that before.
Thank you, Rick.
What I would like to ask you is basically all of that you just said is fine and dandy, but how about if we had 2 or 3 people in network news across the country talk to white people, white men, the way the president talks about immigrants and brown people? I say that because basically you are trying to do better, but I've told you this before too. Quit hiding behind Republicans, conservatives, and evangelicals and his base, and practice implementing white people into those words. America needs to hear this. They need to hear white people. Trump doesn't scare me, okay? He's going to come and go. Nick scares me, okay?
The guy who called. Yeah. No, I get it, Rick, and that's, and the majority of my audience is probably white, and almost certainly, and that's why I talk about these issues, because I agree with you. This consciousness has to be soaking into the white population of this country. If it doesn't, we're screwed.
I know it's hard for white people to listen to, hey, you're calling me a bigot and a racist. That's just what Nick did. But it's amazing the way on the news, the way white people talk to white people.
Right.
All I'm asking is for somebody on the network to say, hey, let's talk to white people.
Yeah.
Because it's needed.
No, I'm with you, Rick. And essentially what that last caller was doing was betraying his own racism, his own probably misogyny as well, but certainly, because all we talked about was race, was just revealing his own racism, and that's a real tragedy. Rick, I got to move along, but thank you for the call. Kenyatta in Redlands, California. Hey, Kenyatta, what's up?
How are you, Mr. Hartmann?
I am well. How are you?
Outstanding, sir. I wanted to very compelling statements from you the last few minutes. So one of the things in talking about Donald Trump's brazenness that you failed to mention was his cowardice. And I was always taught from a very young age that a scared man is the most dangerous person in the world.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of a cornered rat.
However, a scared man, is operating out of fear, which may be related to some level of nobility. The only thing that is more dangerous than a scared man is a coward, because a coward is not operating out of any nobility whatsoever. In fact, the antithesis of that. Donald Trump's 5 deferments in the Vietnam War, and then to turn around a few days ago and talk about how he'd be a good general, well, it speaks for itself. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
The other thing, you went down this New York Times, I think you said it was, a litany of Donald Trump's racist comments, and I'm speaking from a black man viewpoint. One of the things that was left out of that list, and it's a long one, you'd be on the air all day, was his reference to countries in Africa as S-holes, and calling players in the NFL who are predominantly black sons of bitches. So I think that anyone that questions where this guy's racial sentiments are is either a fool or willingly ignorant.
Or a racist. Or a fellow racist.
Well, I'm trying to be diplomatic, Tom.
But I don't need to be.
Exactly. Lastly, I wanted to point this out, Tom. We can talk about the degenerate nature of Donald Trump, and he is that. And everything you talk about, hustler, con man, low intelligence, the whole bit. However, Donald Trump is not the disease. He is a symptom. He is a mirror. He is a reflection of the American society. He is a reflection of what has gradually, the slow burn of this so-called democracy over many, many administrations and many, many years. And in his defense, I think it is because he was elected by the American people. He was. And we can talk popular vote, electoral votes. That's not the point. But significant enough Americans, and that is the issue. He's like a person that looks in the mirror take my 50-something years. I look in the mirror and I see lines I didn't see yesterday. I see all kinds of things. Whether or not I like it is up to me. But if I don't like what I see in that mirror, it doesn't change what's in there. Now, I can go get a facelift or whatever, but what I see is what I see. And I think the problem here is that the American public refuses to understand that this country is steeped in racism. You talk about this guy being a racist. Goldwater did the same thing. Bush did the same thing. Bush Sr., H.W. with Willy Horton, I think it was.
Yep.
This is tried and true, man. Listen, this is the political, base, the denominator of American society. All you need to do is get white people afraid of black people in particular, and any hue that is short of being pink, and it's going down.
Yeah, this is the logical end of Nixon's Southern strategy back in 1968. Kenyatta, spot on. Thank you so much for the call. It's always great to hear from you, and you always just tee it up and pop it out. Really, really well done.